Welcome to the High Ground podcast. I'm Stevie W.
And I'm Callum.
Okay, today
We got there eventually, didn't we?
we did it. Yes, this is actually a third take on doing this start. Franchise wars today. We're going to do something a little bit different. Today, instead of pitting one film in the franchise against another one, what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at two maligned films by the same actor that are released on the same period.
Yes,
So, I'm going to point out, we're going to go through for someone who I actually like, and I'll just pick two. You picked actually, Callum, picked two of his worst films that were literally pretty much back to back. So, franchise wars: Rocky 5 versus Rambo 3.
Yeah.
So, you got Rambo 3, which was 88.
Yay.
Then you got Lock Up, Tango and Cash just comes in between. Followed by 1990 Rocky 5. Lock Up, not really that good. He's alright, not brilliant. Tango and Cash.
Oh, Tango Cash, great.
Brilliant, underrated. But you got Rambo 3, Rocky 5. Then you got, until the cliffhanger, you had Oscar in 91, Stop Or My Mum Will Shoot. Then you had the double hitter of Demolition Man and cliffhanger in 93. So basically, you could say Rambo 3 was the starting point of a little bit of a decline in quality for him.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I mean, the reason I picked both of those is because I think they they're not the same film, but like they're the same sort of low point for each of those franchises, aren't they? Like, I think sort of the action thing had not played out by 88, but it was kind of getting. It was the same thing with Stallone and Arnie, wasn't it? Like we were just saying in our Seagal thing about how Stallone and Arnie seemed like, I don't know, not old hat, but maybe like it's the same sort of thing that each of their films was, like just two guys, big guys holding guns, not getting hit at all, you know, like that whole action thing was kind of getting a bit worn, wasn't it, by the end of the 80s. And then with Rocky, you've got, you know, I love the Rocky films, but like I think by the time they got to 5, they ran out of ideas, hadn't they? Like, because you just done David and Goliath with Rocky 4. It kind of annoyed me in Rocky 5 when they made him poor again. You know, like because we'd been following him all the way through this series, and he's like the underdog, and we wanted him to find all this fame and success and money, and then like they just kind of snatch it away from him, and I don't know, it just kind of annoyed me. It just felt like they didn't have any ideas. I don't know if you feel the same or.
I think 87 was was a big turning point for action cinema, because I think with Lethal Weapon and Die Hard in 88. So I think that the traditional muscular action hero, which to me you're looking at, if I was to pick two definitive action movies from the 80s, somewhat the decadence and the whole explosion, one man against the world, you're looking at Commando and Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Yeah.
So that's on the Rambo standpoint. You got the gritty Rocky, that, you know, which is a great film, which is a standalone movie on its own, would have been just superb on its own. The same with First Blood, if they'd actually killed off John Rambo as in the novel. So you've got those. Then you got Rambo 2 and Rocky 2, 3, and 4, which is the all-American hero who defeats all the odds on their own to save the day. So Rambo 3, I thought, was more of a rehash of an outdated rehash of Rambo 2, because there's no originality to it, and you're watching it and you just think that was done better in Rambo 2, and it had all been done. But by 88, like I said, Lethal Weapon and the buddy movie, because even though in, say, Die Hard, which in 88, you still had John McClane and Reginald VelJohnson. Al. Yeah. You had those, so you always had the buddy, whereas I know there was characters that helped the hit Rambo, but it was mainly one man against the world. Rocky, you don't want to, like, going on what you were saying, you do not want it. Rocky 5 was too soon. I mean, if they'd done Rocky 5 a bit later, because I worked out he must have been coming up to mid-40s when he did Rocky 5.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And so he looked too young to be a trainer, even though they had the brain damage, and they put the onset of brain damage in the film. But you don't want to see your heroes fall, especially what year was Rocky 4 now? Is it 85?
85, yeah. I think
so you don't want to see your heroes fall, and seeing Rocky 4, yeah, 85. You don't want to see this great hero going down to that. But if they'd done it 10 years later,
yeah, it'd be more believable. Wouldn't it? I mean, I think the fact that there's a 5-year gap between two of them sort of says everything about they were maybe going to leave it after Rocky 4 and then thought, well, we'll knock another one out, because it does seem kind of because it takes place right after Rocky 4 at the start, doesn't it? When they give him like the brain damage scans and that, and then you think, like, well, what more is there they can do? What if he's lost his money and he's got brain damage? You can't go back in the ring. Although they have that scene at the end with Tommy Gunn, don't they? Gunn. But I don't know. It's just, it was like the end of If Anyone Ever Watches Only Fools and Horses, like when they actually like do become millionaires. When everyone wanted it to come back, they had to find a way of getting them back to the flat and having all the money gone. And it really annoyed me, like, because again, you'd followed this like journey all the way to them finding success, and it's the same with Rocky. Like, he's the underdog. You wanted him, like, you don't mind like he has to fail a couple of times, but just like this much, I think it was just too much. And like they actually did do really well with Rocky Balboa to recover like the quality of the series after that one, I think, because it really was. I think it's probably worse than Rambo 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see by the end.
I haven't seen Rocky 5 in over 20 years.
No, I haven't.
Fully, should I say. I've never sat through Rambo 3 in one sitting.
Really?
I've always thought Rambo 3 is a terrible film. And I still think it's a terrible film. And like I said, I love Sylvester Stallone. I mean, Cliffhanger is my favourite action. If all-out action film, Lethal Weapon. But if it's straight standard, check your brain out, one man, it's Cliffhanger. So, and I will pay to see Stallone in the cinema. It doesn't matter what he's in. I will. If he's got a cinema release, I guarantee I'll go and see it, because I do like Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. Even though somebody's outlay recently straight to on demand or on video. I switched Escape Plan 2 off. I haven't finished watching it.
The first one's good.
Yeah, the 2 is second.
And Bullet to the Head was terrible.
Oh, Bullet to the Head, we went to him to see that. Oh, God, no. Every line is a bullet to the head. This podcast is like a bullet to the head. I'm looking at the microphone. Not. It's a bullet to the head.
It's just, I don't know, even Cliffhanger though, like, there's some, like, poignant character moments where, like, especially the beginning, even though that beginning has been ruined by Ace Ventura 2 forever for me, where he drops the raccoon. But Rocky, Rambo 3 is literally just, like you say, it's just, the colonel's gone missing, let's go rescue him, instead of the Vietnam vets have gone missing, let's go rescue them. And he's inexplicably not in prison anymore as well, somehow. I thought he was in jail.
At the end of First Blood Part 2, he walks off into the distance.
Oh, right.
How will he live? Yeah, how will he live day by day? Ba, 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 then he walks off.
So, but I mean, did they not send anyone out after him, or did they forgive him?
He had a full pardon.
Yeah, okay.
Or something. Cause,
what I'd love to see right now, especially with all this sort of, like, after Halloween, especially with the let's do it after the first one, I'd love to see, like, a direct sequel to First Blood, ignoring the other ones. Yeah. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Even though I do like the Rambo in Burma. I think that's great. The one before
Rambo,
Last Blood.
Technically Rambo 4.
Or John Rambo if you're American. Yeah. That's another thing about these two series. They can't name these titles worth a damn. Rocky nearly does it. Yeah. Then it gets to 6 and goes, Rocky Balboa. Yeah. What's wrong with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Honestly, it does my head in. Alien does it as well. Yeah. Alien. Then you've got Aliens, which makes sense because there's more than one. So what's Alien 3? Aliens is it's back to 1, but they've got a 3. Alien Resurrection. I'm out. So.
But then you look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, or now Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Or if you want to go even further, Star Wars.
Yeah. I was growing up, it was Star Wars
instead of Episode 4.
Yeah, now it's Episode 4 because we've got.
That's probably a whole podcast to itself, isn't it? Annoying naming conventions.
Yeah. That is actually coming soon to our High Ground podcast.
Yeah, sorry, we do vent a lot, don't we?
We're entitled to. And the fact that I hope you're listening to this, and it's
There is quite a funny irony about Rambo 3 as well, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know,
Didn't it?
You might know it as
well. It ended on the same day as the Cold War. It was released on the same day as the Cold War ended.
No,
is that it?
I didn't know that. But
don't quote me on that. That's what I heard.
The idea that, you know, like the bit at the end where it says this film's dedicated to the brave fighters of the Mujahideen, and then like 20 years later they're like the enemies of America again.
Yeah, I actually wrote this down. I don't, as a rule, because I like the spontaneity of what we do, I don't write as notes as much as some of the earlier podcasts. If you listen to some of the earlier ones, then it was a lot note driven. But now it's more spontaneity. But I actually wrote that quote down. This is directly from the end of Rambo 3. This film is dedicated to the gallant people of Afghanistan. And my little addition, and those who sat through this pile of shit. So that's what it should have been. But yeah, they dedicate the film to the gallant people of Afghanistan, and they should have dedicated it to anyone that can sit through it, especially in one sitting. I deserve a Medal of Honor for that one.
I think I know what you mean about the Cold War thing. I think it was after the Afghan invasion was over, wasn't it? The Russians pulled out before the film came out, so it's like already they were an out of date villain. Like for the film. It kind of reminds me a bit of Living Daylights, because that's set in Afghanistan.
It is,
isn't it? And it's got
ending.
Art Malik, hasn't it? And,
the Mujahideen.
but that was when they were still.
Fighters.
It was still kicking off.
Yeah.
So it made sense then, you know.
That was 87.
That was 87, yeah.
It's.
But I'm sure the Russians pulled out just before Rambo 3 came out, so it kind of made their story like
dated on release. Yeah. But here's the thing: you look at Rocky 4, 85. Bear in mind, Rambo 3 is 3 years later, and at the end, the Russians are cheering for the American.
Yeah.
So it's all about bringing peace.
Was that the great speech as well at the end of Rocky?
Yeah. Yeah, and then you look at you know, there's a line in Tango and Cash, which was 89 about Perestroika, when he's done the car, then he destroys the car. He goes, "I'm for Russia, Perestroika. Welcome to America." So we'd gone past the whole Cold War BS to now we're seeing as Russia as our friends, and then we release crap like that. But I'm sorry,
it's quite strange watching films that like are approaching the end of the Cold War now. You know, like when I'm talking like late 80s, maybe 1990. I mean, something like Star Trek 6 is still quite good, Undiscovered Country, because that's a whole metaphor about the end of the Cold War anyway, isn't it? So it kind of works, because you know, like the Klingons are supposed to be like the Russians in it, basically, aren't they? But when you watch films that are like set in the late 80s and they're still like, Russians are definitely still the bad guys, you just think, oh, it's so dated compared to when you watch like early 80s stuff or late 70s stuff, or the 60s Bond films. You know, the Russians are always the bad guys.
But they use Spectre, not
Russia,
they don't use Russia, so you can actually have something you can sell to different markets. It's not Russia's, it's Spectre.
Until you get to GoldenEye, and it's like where it actually does show the Russians as like passe bad guys, and it's not even the Russians anyway. It's like Sean Bean kicking off, isn't it? But it is. Yeah, it does feel really dated.
God, I forgot the name. What he was, Sean Bean in.
He's a Lien's Cossack.
Yeah. I gotta say, if you haven't seen GoldenEye, watch GoldenEye. Trust me.
Better than
Rambo 3. Yeah, I put some. I gotta admit, Sly's hair and the headbands. I was like, yeah, mullet.
Big guy as well, isn't he?
Yeah, mullet.
He's definitely a mullet. Yeah.
Mullet. And how, you know, you got to show his honour before he goes on these big bad killing spree, how he's helping the monks out, and he's repairing and he's giving all his money, and the American colonel, his friend, goes, and it's like, oh.
It's the only, I suppose, like, in their defence though, it's probably the only thing that could draw him out of hiding in it. I mean, even though that was the only thing that sort of struck me as a bit about the Burma Rambo, where like there's not much that could bring him out of hiding apart from Colonel Trump, and he's dead in that one, isn't he? So I suppose they were kind of trying to make the point that like he'd forgotten what the right thing to do was, and that woman reminds him, doesn't she, about trying to save another life isn't wasting your life, and I quite like that. That is quite nice. But
I just thought Rambo 4, we'll call it Rambo 4.
See, for ease of
it was just a gore fest, just to show what it's like when you get hit by heavy artillery.
It was, and I really like that about it, actually, the realism.
Yeah.
Like, because you compare it to something like Rambo 3 or 2, and you think, like explosive bows and arrows and like.
He likes the bows and arrows, especially the last
his
blood. That was bloody good. Come on, use the bow and arrow. You know, just set it up. And bang. Yes. Oh, just looking at my notes here, and one thing that really, a few things that really, I'll go with the easy one first. You know, in the Mujahideen Council when they're in the desert and everything.
Yeah.
And Rambo's asking for help. You know what that reminded me of?
What?
The Ewok village where C-3PO.
Oh yeah.
I was like thinking, this is the Ewok village again. So you're ripping on Star Wars now as well. Sorry.
Who isn't?
That's our drinking game. So we've done our one for this one now.
Yeah, we've done 2 now.
Yeah.
You'll be pissed already.
Yeah. We remember, if you're doing this and you're legal drinking age and you want to play along, every time we mention Star Wars, take a shot.
Indeed.
And well, okay, you've got this thing that kind of jolted with me. I don't know if it was a product at the time. Is the kid with the gun, the hero with the gun?
Yeah,
There's like a little sidekick that's the hero with a gun.
Yeah.
Even in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, they didn't give Short Round a gun.
No, I know.
But this is a bit jarring. I know.
I think it's kind of weird when they give people kid sidekicks. Like it seems really sort of, I don't know, weird now. Like it was okay in the 80s because you thought. I suppose it was kind of a like, let's get younger people in, like, or watch it after it's been released kind of thing. But it seemed kind of creepy now when you've got like kid sidekicks.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same. Like if Batman actually had a kid Robin like he does in the comic, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be really weird.
Here's the thing: you got the kid with a gun who's you know a hero, and during the confines of the convention of the movie, he's not seen as anything other than being a little sidekick hero.
Yeah.
Whereas today, if you were to do that sort of thing with a kid with a gun, it would be political.
Yeah.
It'd be using
Child
it
soldiers.
they'd be using it to make a political point, and all they were using this kid is to sell tickets, just like having the female, the one in First Blood Part 2. It wasn't anything about Vietnam. It was about. It's just like, we've always had male sidekicks. Just give them a female one. It was just a prop rather than making a statement.
It was like, I'm not going to do the impression of her because I will come across as very racist. But I know which one you mean. Like the sort of. Was she was like an agent or something, wasn't she? Yeah.
One that says you're expendable.
Yeah. And then he falls in love with her in 10 seconds and she gets killed.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
But here's the thing. See, you got a kid with a gun in that one. Then you got. I mean, may he rest in peace, Sage Stallone playing Rocky Jr. And his whole motivation was, he stole my room.
Killing Dad, he took my room.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like, that's it. It's like you got a big fight at the end of Rambo of Rocky 5, and whereas it's like, kick his ass, Rocky. Look what he's done to you. He's made you for a fool. He stole my room. That's why you got to kick his ass. It's like, okay, that's very jarring.
Another problem they have as well is they don't make Tommy sympathetic at all. He's just a douche from the start, so you don't even give a shit when he turns like, it would have been more of a sort of shocker if he'd have been really sort of like getting friendly with Rocky and like becoming like another son to him, like, which is what I think they're trying to go for, but it just doesn't work. But if they had, then the betrayal thing with him going with the big fight promoter guy would have been would have been much more sort of like, wow, what an asshole, like. But instead you're like, oh, what an asshole anyway, like, just kill him.
Exactly, the guy was a dick from the start, and it's performance. I mean, if you want, I'm going to say this is, Ryan Coogler did it brilliantly with Creed and Creed 2. Well, he didn't direct Creed 2, but he was an executive producer. And, they did, with Creed, you had the trainee, you had the rich boy that's being trained up by Rocky and everything, and you got the age, you got, I mean, this is a good thing Rocky 5 did, and Rocky Balboa put the building blocks so that Rocky was in place to actually do what he had to do in Creed and Creed 2, which is absolutely superb. And Adonis Creed is a likable character. I mean, even and this is the thing. So I haven't seen Rocky 5 fully in over 20 years.
Oh, I haven't seen it for ages.
So it was. But if you look at the performances from Burt Young, Talia Shire, and of course Sly, up until the point where you introduce Tommy Morrison, Tommy Machine Gun,
such a normal
name. It is. It's all. They put in some really good performances, and now I can hand out. I know it was 5 years after Rocky 4 to Rocky 5. It's too short of a period to actually see your hero fall like that, especially when it's supposed to be taken straight afterwards. But it's, the riches to rags thing. If it had been about Rocky getting himself back on his feet, but the whole storyline and the whole ending of, Rocky, it follows the formula of Rocky 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Rocky loses everything, and then he wins, but only he wins a fight.
Yeah.
But having him doing the whole training bullshit in it and training up thingy, and even the training montage with 90s music. I mean, the music in it. I mean, we look at the Rocky 4 soundtrack.
Yeah.
Gung ho, brilliant.
It used to annoy me that there was no, like the original Bill Conti training montage music. I think it's Gonna Fly now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It used to annoy me that they didn't use that, but then after years and years, I really like this. The soundtrack of Rocky 5 is really 80s, isn't it? Is it 85? Rocky 4, sorry.
Rocky 4 is 85.
Yes,
it's a great soundtrack.
Survivor did a couple of songs for it, didn't they? Like Burning Heart and that. But I just think, because you hear Eye of the Tiger at the start, don't you? When it's doing the recap. But yeah, no, I really like the soundtrack for 4, but it's just, I don't know.
Rocky 5, and this is, when I was listening to it, the music if you were to put on, you could literally take the Rocky 5 soundtrack and add it to Ghostbusters 2 or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As I'm watching it, and that's all I can think of is those two movies. That is the soundtrack. It's awful. It doesn't have but then again, if you look in 1990, I know 1990 is still, you could argue, is still part of the 80s. Everybody thinks 1990 happens, hair metal died and grunge came. It didn't. It was not that fast. It was all blended in, and at that point, you could have still got away with doing the power ballads. I mean, you look at Everything I Do For You, wasn't Prince of Thieves 90?
Yeah, 91, yeah.
So you've still got that whole power ballad was still going.
Yeah.
And instead they stick crap like the I don't know how to describe it. It's just naff.
Well, I mean, they still had them
style
all the way up to Nickelback did one for Spider-Man, didn't they?
Oh no!
That's
That was Chad Kroger.
That's quite good.
Chad Kroger, but
I always thought it was Nickelback.
Chad Kroger.
But I mean, they were still doing it. That was 2002, wasn't it? They were still doing
good song.
It is a good song. Yeah, I'm not knocking it. It's just I think it was like a trend that took a long time to. I mean, you don't really see them very much anymore, do you? Ballads, but probably the only one in recent history I can think of is Frozen. Reminds me of a power ballad. I don't know why.
Oh, Into the Woods.
Well, in the first one as well, it reminds me of the sort of, I don't know, that scene. He just looks like a music video, especially the one you showed me as well.
Into the Woods is, if you listen to these podcasts, obviously you like movies. Play Into the Woods from Frozen 2, then straight afterwards play Glory of Love by Peter Cetera from Karate Kid 2. It's the same song. It is the same song.
Speaking of bad sequels.
Karate Kid 3.
Yeah, I don't know. 2 was one of those ones where they had the chance to show off how good Miyagi was, and the only thing about Karate Kid, this is a bit of a tangent, but it is kind of related because it's the same director as Rocky. The only thing that annoys me about Karate Kid is Daniel never ever seems anything but average at karate in it. Yeah. And even by 2 and 3, he's still rubbish at karate, and I just think the whole point should be that he's good by the 3rd one, so there should be someone even better, Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. I think they just thought, oh, Cobra Kai were a good bad guy. We'll go back to them. I mean, incidentally, the Cobra Kai the series is fantastic.
I'm gonna watch it when it comes on Netflix.
It's really
I will not pay for Amazon. I will not pay for it on Friday.
No, stop that. But I mean, it's the same sort of problem. I think you take the underdog thing too far, and you bring too many adversaries in that he beats, and it starts to become sort of unbelievable, doesn't it? There would be a point where they need to say, right, well, I'm done, which is the end of Rocky Balboa. Which I did actually like that he didn't win in that. He just sort of went the distance like the first one, and then I think Creed they did. It kind of reminds me of The Force Awakens with Creed, because it's how they did the older characters versus the new characters. Rocky's in it, but he's not intrusive. It's still Adonis' story, isn't it? And he's just he's more like Mickey now. He definitely feels like Mickey now, and that really works, I think, because it should be Rocky passing the torch to the next sort of guy that's going to be him, sort of.
I completely agree. I think Creed's a fantastic film. I think Creed 2.
I haven't seen Creed 2 yet.
You want to watch it? It's good. But then again, I've got a thing for Dolph Lundgren. I've always liked Dolph Lundgren. And he's one of these people that doesn't know how to age. The guy does
No,
not know
I know,
how to
yeah.
age.
Stallone looks pretty good as
does.
well,
He
actually.
does.
I'm glad they didn't go. I mean, because I don't know if you know, but there was supposed to be a deleted scene in Rocky Balboa where he visits Ivan Drago in the hospital, and he's got HIV from all the steroid abuse that they used, because obviously like they wouldn't clean their needles and stuff. But and he was supposed to say like, "Oh, he dies to the nurse," and you're like in reference to. But I'm glad they didn't, and you get to see him again, because I haven't seen that yet. But I mean, I imagine that's quite cool seeing him.
It is. It's a good movie.
Isn't it his son he's fighting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
Something Drago.
Yeah, something Drago versus Adonis Creed, and it's a good. It's good film.
I like Michael B. Jordan as well.
He's brilliant. Yes, ripped.
Yeah, he's a big fella, really.
But yeah, I also think he's brilliant in Black Panther. So
yeah, same director, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the thing is that this is listen, this is the first time I've ever watched Rambo 3, because I always defined Rambo 3 as there's films which you want to like, and Rambo 3 is one of them.
Yeah.
And there's films that you'll switch off. Ridiculous 6 from Netflix that I never ever want to watch the end of that film. I switched it off. Don't ever want to see it. But Rambo 3, because it's a Stallone film. Like I said, it's the first time that I ever did it in one sitting. And it was a rehash of Rambo 2, but just not done as well. And it's like explosions. It's like, this is like a Michael Bay wet dream. It's explosions after explosions. And helicopters, my God, they love their fucking helicopters.
They do, yeah, I know. Especially those big Russian ones.
It's like helicopters.
I do admit though, like there is a good. I do like that line at the end when he's in the tank, and there's like loads of guys like in front of them, and the colonel just says like, "What do you want to do, John?" And he just goes, "Fuck 'em."
Yeah,
I do like that. I think that's quite funny. But yeah, it just seems like too amped up even more, if that's possible, doesn't it? I mean, at least like I love bad guy in 2. Is it Stephen? He's in Living Daylights as well, actually. The Russian guy. What's his name? Stephen Burkhoff.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just like a sort of cardboard cookie cutout bad guy in this one, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's just some Russian guy who has.
I don't even know his character's name, but it's like
and
nameless villain who's just
nameless,
we will torture you now, Troutman. Bang.
Yeah.
You better you in the lines about how Rambo is this great hero.
But we know that already. Like in the first one, it works because you're like, wow, like we know this guy was in Vietnam, but like when Troutman starts saying like, oh well, I'm here to protect you, like not the other way around. Like you're thinking, wow, who's this guy? Like it's cool, like. But you know this by the third one, or you should know it.
It's like, you see Rambo running, there's like all explosions all around, and it's like Rambo against helicopters.
Yeah.
I kind of missed and then you see like the tanks.
Yeah.
Really,
and you think like, how is he possibly going to get out of this?
Yeah, but it's the helicopters. I actually wrote when I saw the tanks, I miss you helicopters. Russians have tanks, the helicopters are gone. But no, the helicopter's back. So it's going to be a tank versus a helicopter.
Yeah.
And it's like, tank wins.
I mean,
fuck you, helicopters!
Yeah. It's still like, the stunts are still pretty good. Like, all like these are pre-CG stunts are great, no matter how bad the films are usually, aren't they? I mean, I think probably the only series that still uses stuntmen, like, exclusively is probably Bond, isn't it?
Yeah. Bond doesn't claim to be a one-man army.
No, he doesn't. No, not anymore.
No. How does he actually apologise for the language in this one? How does he always lose his shirt before they go to war? It's like he's going into war with all these things and he's got no shirt on. But as soon as the film ends, as he's going off anything, he's got a shirt on now. It's like,
because he doesn't need it.
No. At that bit in it, when he's doing the medical attention on himself when he gets speared, and he's he's got the knife and the gunpowder, and he just goes through, and it's like, Jesus Christ, and he doesn't scream in pain or anything.
Oh, that's a rehash of First Blood as well, isn't it? When he's sewing his armour.
Yeah.
Like,
but when you see it go
all the same.
Yeah. Just nowhere near.
No, I mean it seems like it's almost to the point where First Blood feels like a totally different. It's a thriller more than an action film, isn't it? Like, I mean, just feels like a totally different film.
He acts in. It's the same
with
with Rocky.
He does, that's the thing.
And Rocky in First Blood, he actually acts.
Yeah.
I mean that bit where Mickey's standing outside of his apartment, and because Mickey wants, I can't remember because it's been years since I watched first Rocky, and he's going on about how his apartment's shit and his life is shit and everything. He's punching the walls. And you think people forget that and don't realise that Sly is an actual good actor.
Yeah.
But he also knows how to make money. So, First Blood Part 2 and 3, and you could argue the rest of the Rambos, are all good cash grabs.
Oh, of course they are. Yeah.
Whereas the same with Rocky, because Rocky 2, 3 and 4 are good cash grabs. Rocky and First Blood are great movies and put in great performances. And this is what pissed me off about Rocky 5, is that it's like I would say that Phantom Menace becomes crap as soon as Anakin comes into it because because
it sort of goes downhill, doesn't it?
Yeah, no offense to Jake Lloyd, but the introduction of a character that's a whiny little shit. Yeah. Again, no offense to Jake Lloyd, you said the script. You didn't. You didn't write the script.
Yeah, George.
Yeah, so it's not Jake Lloyd's fault. And a bit when you bring Tommy Gunn into it, it jolts you out of it because you've got Talia, like I said earlier in the podcast, Talia Shire, Burt Ward, and Sly all giving great performances.
Yeah.
Then
as they have throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bring in an element that's the marketing towards the end, and it's like it goes down.
It does bring it down a little. I mean, there's no specific character in Rambo 3 that brings it down, but it's just the bad guys. They're so like cookie cutter Russians, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you've even got like those sort of second in charge bad guys that are in action films that are always absolute units that like you think, well, this guy's huge. Like Sven Thorson, he's in like every like action film. And he's like the guy before the bad guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
It always reminds me of boss fights from video games. Like you fight someone before the final boss. You get that in this, don't you? He gets blown up in a cave or something, doesn't he? I think, or I can't remember, but it's something like that. I mean, that's the thing. It's so unmemorable. Rambo 3, like, there's nothing.
There's
nothing where you can go. There's a bit in this, you'll love it. Like, it's just apart from the fucking bit at the end, like that, and that could have been from any film.
Exactly. I mean, you got Kurtwood Smith who plays an operative.
Yeah.
You're like thinking,
I like Kurtwood.
You're Kurtwood Smith. You got Clarence Boddicker. But now, if you look at, say, First Blood Part 2. Yeah. Let me just.
Totally not Reagan era action, is it?
You could literally. This could be for another franchise wars. We could look at Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Commando.
Yeah, yeah.
And you got Charles Napier.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in that.
And Martin Coe.
The Cobra Kai dude. Yeah. I can't remember what his name is from Karate Kid. What is it again?
Let's find out. He's Erickson in. Isn't that just First Blood Part 2 was co-written by James Cameron?
James Cameron, yeah.
So he in Cobra in Karate Kid, he's Kreese.
That's it, Kreese.
So you got these two big ones who are also. You've obviously got the Vietnamese ones. But those are the two American assholes.
Yeah.
It was
just Rambo 2 was just like we went back and won Vietnam. Really.
Yeah.
Just ignore that.
Yeah. This is we're going to get our troops out, but then Rambo going against his orders because he has to go get. Not just take photographs. He has to rescue them, and it's
it's just a jab at the brass, like handling everything wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I think Rambo 3 is like the Americans will come in and save you from the Russians. Don't worry.
Sorry, that's exactly.
Sorry, what?
Not now, the Americans.
That's what I like that about Rambo 4. That there's no real subtext. It's just about a shitty place in the world where, like, a horrible murder and military kill people. And Rambo's just like he's not saving everyone. He's just sort of like he just gets hired, and he's trying to be like he is at the beginning of the third one, isn't he? He's trying to just live apart from everything. I like that because it's more realistic. It was kind of like he's sort of done with it all, but one last time, like I'll go and save these people because they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Exactly.
Instead of like, oh, they've got the colonel, right? Okay, I'll just go back and get him.
We'll go get everybody else.
And we'll save Afghanistan while we're at it.
It's America.
Yeah. I mean, Team America really, as much as people take the piss, it's so, like, on the nose, isn't it?
Exactly. They can't save themselves, so America goes.
Yeah.
So it's,
If you which one would you say is better, Rambo 3 or Rocky 5?
Rocky 5. Because
yeah, probably, yeah.
only, like I said, I do not like. I thought and like I said, I did not like the bit. He stole my room.
That is dumb, yeah. But I think the story overall is a bit more believable, isn't it?
Yeah, and I like the
As annoying as it is.
I mean, they could have found they could have found another way to have Rocky's final battle rather than being a good street fight, being an internal battle. The estrangement from his son would made it, and
well, like
how
if you got, like if he started dealing with things like drinking or like drugs or whatever, you have to deal with it, because a lot of them do that, don't they?
Yeah.
If they end up with no money.
it had so much potential. If you just went to the whole painting by numbers, Rocky has the big fight and wins in the end thing. There's ways of twisting it. You look, in Creed, he was training Adonis up, but spoiler alert, switch off if you haven't seen it.
You should have.
Yeah.
By now.
Creed is he ready fights cancer.
Yeah.
And he wants to give up, but he continues and fights. And Rocky's battle is that at the end.
Yeah.
And
it's more nuanced, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rocky is never the star of Creed.
Yeah.
It's like he wins, and it's Adonis in the ring celebrating. It is Rocky as Mickey.
Yeah.
And it works because of the age as well. So.
Well, you'd never believe if he stepped into the ring again, would you? You'd just be like, what is going on here? Like, I mean, he can sort of only just stretch yourself to believe it in Rocky Balboa. Can't you? I mean, it's probably the only stretch you have to make in that film was somehow getting him back in the ring. They do it with that computer simulation, don't they? That looks really dated now, that simulation, doesn't it?
It's an exhibition.
Yeah. I think, like, I mean, I don't know if was there not a deleted scene from Creed 2 or something where he fights Drago in like the hospital lobby because he starts taunting him when
I haven't seen deleted on Creed.
I haven't seen. No, I don't know if it's deleted or it was actually like it wasn't in the film, was it?
No,
because there's supposed to be a scrap between the two of them, like just a normal fight, not a boxing. And like that's sort of more believable because they're both the same sort of age, aren't they? And like they would wind each other up and outside of the ring, But it works better definitely having him being in like an internal battle, like he's with the cancer and that, rather than just fighting some guy on the street over his son's room.
Yeah, you see, the thing with 5 is you knew how it was going to end because the guy's an asshole. Tommy Gunn
there's no like turn where it's like, oh my god, look what he just did. It's just, well, he's already an asshole. What you want me to go gasp? And
they speed it up. They go through it way too fast.
Yeah.
To get to. I mean, the film's got a runtime of 1 hour 44 minutes, and it's you can usually in that amount of time tell a good 3 act.
Oh yeah.
It's all. Tommy Gunn's introduced. Tommy Gunn's an asshole. We know Tommy Gunn's an asshole. He sides with the promoter, and it's there's no shock value.
Leader.
No.
Yeah.
It's like we know how this is going to end, and if you know how it's going to end, it's and Rocky would win in the end. So it's because he's still, even though he's supposed to have the onset of brain damage, he looks like he can still fight.
Yeah, he's still Rocky, isn't he?
Yeah.
But director-wise, it's quite interesting for both of them because you've got John Avildsen return, and he did the first two. First two, didn't he?
I know he did the first.
Was he
Sly did too soon.
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah. But like we said, we also did the Karate Kid as well.
Yeah.
It was just the first one, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought it was the second one. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then I think Rambo 3 wasn't it one of the production? It was one of the previous cameramen. I think someone Douglas, was it? Peter Douglas.
Rambo 3 was
Peter Douglas, I think it is. Oh, Peter McDonald. Yeah, he was the something to do with Superman the movie as well. Can't remember now. Camera operator. Yeah.
He did Batman second unit as well.
Oh yeah. There we are, Superman too. So I mean, the camera work and that's amazing. So I think it's one of those like instances where he's gone to be like, oh, I want to try directing, and they've gone, oh, here you go.
You look at
Rambo 3.
You look at Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a cameraman director, isn't it?
That's
like Alexander Witt.
Yeah, Alexander Witt. I mean,
he's a fantastic camera operator.
Yeah, I mean he's still active, and he does James Bond, doesn't he?
I think he does. Yeah.
Right, let's just pull it up. You know, I remember in the
I
old
knew he
days.
did like X-Men, and did he do X-Men First Class? I'm sure.
He did First Class, No
Yeah,
Time
yeah.
to Die, Second Unit, DOP,
Infinity War.
Skyfall, Spectre.
So he's good.
So he's
It's just, I think it's a shame, like, because some of them probably do want to try directing, you know, and then they get given like the pants that the studios have got, like, you know, it's like I think it's like when Shatner wanted to direct, wasn't it, for Star Trek, and they're like, oh yeah, you can have Star Trek 5, yeah. Oh no, we're taking all the budget off you, so you can't film what you wanted to film originally. No, they do that, pull that sort of shit on first time directors, don't they? And David Fincher as well with Alien 3, like, it doesn't count it as his first film anymore, does it? Because it was so, you know, I think it's a shame when they do that to first time directors.
What do I reckon? I like Alien 3.
I like Alien 3, and it ended out alright for Fincher.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
And I also like the 2003 cut, isn't it?
The assembly cut. Yeah.
So I like that as well, but
no, yeah, it's a shame when I hate when they do that too. You know, because it would put you off, wouldn't it?
yeah, you can blame someone. You can.
Yeah. Oh well, we didn't do that. It was him.
No.
We didn't sign the studio notes or anything like that.
No. And but yeah, how do you? Like you. It's such a shame because in Rambo 3 they could have just found a good villain and actually or found something that wasn't retreading. But then again, you could also. I mean, my big argument is, you know, this is not Rocky. Rocky 5 was, you'd argue, if they'd done Rocky 5 10 years later, where it
like
might
they
have
did with
worked.
Balboa.
Yeah, it might have worked as a. You could have had the same story.
Yeah.
Have a more likable villain than your Tommy Gunn. Then it would have worked. A retired Rocky that's goaded into a fight and trained and everything. There's your arc. But people still wanted the hero.
Yeah, and I think if you'd have sort of missed not doing Rocky 5, and also, like, I do like Balboa, but if you'd have missed that out and gone straight to Creed now, it would have still worked.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, he's not fighting, but he's still training, and he still knows his shit, like, about boxing, so, like, having him train someone else. I'd like to have seen that in Rambo, like, instead of just making him, like, old as the hills and still fighting people, like, flawlessly. It would have been good to see him, like, him be kidnapped, and, like, a family member or like someone, like a young soldier in it, like, is given the task of trying to find him, like, or something like that, or the colonel's son or something, you know.
Bit like what they did with Blade Runner 2049. Have the hero not go to the end.
I don't know. Yeah, that would work for me. But obviously, it's all over now, isn't it? Forever.
Exactly. But the studio likes to, and I think Stallone as well. I don't quote me on this. It's just my theory. Is that Rambo is a hero?
Yeah. So it doesn't work.
No, the Rambo is your All American apple pie gun
bazooka toting
hero. So Rambo is always going to have to be at the forefront because it's Rambo. Even in Last Blood, I mean, which is a fun film.
It was fun, yeah.
It's totally unbelievable, but it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I did like about Last Blood, if you haven't seen it, go watch it now. But spoilers, is the thing they did with his niece.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that coming at all when they killed her off. Because it's just like a totally different film, isn't it? After
exactly.
That. I mean, at first you're thinking, oh, he's just going after these cartel guys and kill them all, and it like totally switches around, like, you know, where he does the traps on them and stuff like that at the end. Because I thought it was just going to be like him saving her. Was
Taken.
The whole film. Yeah.
Stallone's version of Taken.
Yeah, because I mean, well, I remember when we went to see Taken, and even that we thought, God, Liam Neeson, he's a bit old for this, and then we came out going, that film was awesome. Like, it was good.
He's brilliant. I love those. And I mean, Taken 2 is not one of the best ones.
I don't like 2 or 3.
Get the Blu-ray. It's got an alternative cut at the ending.
Oh, okay.
And it's like about 30 odd minutes long.
I think that they kind of suffered from a bit of Rambo 2 and 3 syndrome, didn't they? Like, and action films today sometimes they're unwatchable with the editing.
Too fast.
I don't understand why they think, you know, editing that could cause a seizure is good action editing. I mean, there's a scene funnily enough, in Taken 2 or 3 where he jumps over a fence, and there's like 20 cuts for him jumping over a fence. Like, it's nothing like incredible, is it?
No.
Like, I could jump over a fence, like, and make it look cool by just cutting 20 times.
You get the on a bit. You look at Steven Seagal's ones,
But
where they speed it all up.
Yeah, and body doubles as well, isn't it? But I still believe Liam Neeson could kick my ass.
Oh yeah,
because he's a big guy, isn't he? And I don't know. Yeah, it's just I think they just think. But the Dark Knight suffered from this. The editing's too fast.
Yeah.
Like you can't see what's going on. And then you watch something like the Batman, and they're all long shots of the fights. And you know, John Wick is something that doesn't do that. It has long shot, so you can see everything. And you should be doing that in action films because you want to see every move and every hit, and you want to feel every hit and every, like when they do cut, it's only to a different angle. It's just, I think like I don't know. I just think they think fast editing means like it's frenetic and it's fast paced, but really it's just seizure inducing.
But then you go look at the audience that nowadays they just want everything bang 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 bang.
Yeah.
Because if I'm reaching for my phone,
I was going to say while they're looking up from their phones every 2 seconds.
If I'm reaching for my phone, it's not a good thing. Oh, it's just look.
That's my measure of a boring film now. If I'm on my phone, or if I'm looking at the time on my phone or something like that.
If I'm in the cinema, if I'm looking.
Used to be watches, didn't it?
Yeah.
Back in the day, like film's boring.
I still wear a watch, and the only time I ever look at a watch when I'm going to the cinema is because I always know that it's just in case it's coming towards the end, and you know it's like when you've been drinking a lot of liquid.
Yeah.
It's like, do I have to go have a piss break?
Or there's another indicator of a bad film, which is you go toilet during it.
My one is, and my indicator of a bad film is if I'm falling asleep. So if I've still got my bag of sweets at the end of the film, it's a good film.
Yeah.
If I don't have a bag of sweets, it means it's a shit film.
Yeah, because you don't mind rustling the bags.
It's not that. It's I'm getting the sugar rush to keep me
Oh,
awake.
I see what you mean.
Oh, I got lynched by people that were behind me in the cinema when I was watching a terrible, terrible film that my fiance wanted to see because I was quote eating crisps. No, they were not crisps. They were fucking sweets because this film was bollocks.
I know which one you mean because I got forced as well.
Yeah.
Not in the same sitting, but.
Go and look at our podcast. Find the 50 Shades one. It's terrible.
But is it better than Rambo 3? Or Rocky 5? Or is it no worse?
I sat through Rocky 5. Rocky 5, which like I said, I can tolerate Rocky 5. Rambo 3 was terrible. But
I think it still is terrible. Like you when you're watching the Rambo films again, you kind of go, I'll just watch it anyway. It's part of it, and then you're right. You get halfway through or 40 minutes in, and you just think, this is just. I could have just watched Rambo 2 again.
Yeah.
It's like even when you get through the Batman films and you get to Batman and Robin, at least you're like, well, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like.
Batman and Robin, you could take the mickey out of. It's like when I was watching Rambo 3.
Yeah.
The only thing that I was thinking when I was watching it was, my God, I wish Callum was here, because if Callum was here, we could literally have done our first audio commentary. That's what I was thinking. I would never want Rambo 3 to be my first audio commentary, but
I think bad films always have good audio commentary.
Yeah.
I like, even if you listen to, well, again, Batman and Robin, the one on that is fascinating, because it's just Joel Schumacher talking about how much crap he got about making it and stuff, and I prefer the interesting, like a lot of the big studio ones. It's all like, oh, to do this scene we did this or that. Like I could just watch the special features if that's the case. Like I like the ones with anecdotes and stories, and they tend to be the more difficult films, don't they?
Exactly. I mean, it's like Dark Phoenix. I really wanted an assembly cut of Dark Phoenix when it came out.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to see what should have been and what is. And Troubled Productions deserve more than a 30-minute ass-kissing documentary.
Piece,
yeah, we don't need that. We want to know the juicy details.
I get sick of studio special features now.
Yeah.
It's just all the actors going, I was so honoured to work with so and so, and you just think, no, I want to see them saying he's a twat, or like
6 months down the line, your Twitter feed is going to be, your Instagram feed is going to be how much you hate the fucking film. You did it as a paycheck.
I was made to do it.
Yeah.
No one made you do shit. Shut up.
You signed the contract.
Yeah.
You signed on. You should have read the fucking script first.
At least Michael Caine admitted he took a paycheck for Jaws 4.
Yeah. There's got the famous. I don't know. I've not seen Jaws 4, but I've not seen Jaws: The Revenge, but I've seen the house it built me.
Yeah. It's something I always quote when we talk about paycheck.
Yeah.
It's just like, just admit you took money for it. Like,
yeah,
of course you did.
I was say this is actually. We don't like we don't like actually in podcasts doing slating films, because if you want to see, there's enough channels out there. If you want to see people if you want to see people slating films,
pages,
and if you want to find the good ones, just type in with Last Jedi. If you type in Last Jedi, you can find loads of people slating films.
Oh,
I hope that when listeners, that you don't think that we completely we like Stallone films. We love the genre. We love the franchises. It's just
some of
decent.
them aren't as good.
Yeah.
You're not always going to get like great films, are you? With
No.
everything.
And the thing is, and this is more for your passive viewers rather than your active viewers, is nobody goes out of the way to make a bad film, and that's what people. You don't studio, with the exception of Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, goes out of the way and say we're going to just make a bad film.
I think you could probably comedies can get away with it because they're spoofing something, aren't they? Like they could say like we're going to deliberately make this like rubbish or whatever, but there is still an agenda, like isn't there? It's no one's like, even something like The Room, like even Tommy Wiseau still thinks it's great.
You have to. But the comedies, especially the parody ones.
Yeah.
The reason why I think there's a
Airplane.
Well, the airplane in anything with Mel Brooks is the high end.
Yeah, I love that.
But you've got the ones that they release every like Not Another Teen or Not Another, or crap
they're
like
all just
that.
Scary Movie 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the first one was funny and the rest of them was shite.
But the good parody ones you don't make anymore because you just churn it out, just like your all the films that came out after Harold and Kumar and American Pie. But
do you know, incidentally, I watched Airplane recently and I was showing my fiance it. And I don't think she really she did laugh, but I think it was kind of too. I never realised how you never get away with making that now. Like the little girl, and you say like the little voice that's standing next to him, he's like, oh hello, like trying to hit on her, and she's just like, oh I like my coffee black like my men. Like, you just think, wow, like I forgot about that, and Peter Graves being a paedophile. It's just, what?
Especially at the time we are now. Except if you got to accept that these films were products of the time.
Yeah.
Goes back to Rambo 3, except that was a product of his time. They just kind of missed it slightly.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Well, I mean, when you miss it while you're making the film, they must have been like, oh shit.
Yes.
Can't go back and reshoot it.
Okay. I got to point out, I think, like I said, I've said it already. We got Rambo 3. This is, like I said, this is the outlay. Rambo 3, Lock Up, Tango and Cash, Rocky 5, Oscar, Stop on Mom Will Shoot. So you got an outlay of 6 movies, which kind of took Stallone's career trajectory down a bit.
Yeah.
But he made it up with the cliffhanger and Demolition Man. Then he had a lull again until he did Expendables. Expendables, Rocky
Copland
Balboa
was quite good. I like Copland. Was good. I like that. That was kind of like an acting role for him, wasn't it? After all that.
But people couldn't accept in that period sly acting. And that was the problem. He got typecast in this role, even though he's more than the role. Yeah. He has an Oscar for.
He does. Yeah. I mean, it was for Copland, wasn't it?
He got his Oscar for Rocky.
Oh, was it Rocky? Yeah. Oh, of course it was. But I mean, there's like a weird sort of after like Demolition Man and
Specialist.
Yeah, there's like that weird hinterland of bad Stallone films again with like Assassins and.
It's a terrible film.
Like Get Carter remake and stuff like that. It's just.
Then the stuff that he has now that's cinema release, he's good.
He's good again. I like him. There's nothing like offensive about Stallone, is there? Like he's just Stallone, isn't he?
It's good. I do. I mean,
you can't really bring yourself to hate Arnie's bad films, either, can you? I mean, I can't stand Jingle All the Way, but he makes it bearable. Ironically, another Jake Lloyd film.
Again, not Jake Lloyd's fault. I'm more of a Sly. I was always more of a Sly than Arnie.
Yeah.
But having said that, when he goes with his politics, even though he's a Republican.
Yeah.
I do like what he said about renewable energy and stuff like that, and how he's basically stood up for.
And how he got to sign death warrants so he could actually be the Terminator.
Ooh, that's. I like what he's done. He's a bit of environmentalism he did when Trump was saying stuff.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of, I think Clint Eastwood was he was governor of California or something, wasn't he? I mean, I don't know how well he did, but I'm assuming he did all right. But a lot of the actors that become, Ronald Reagan, for instance.
The actor?
The actor. You think, like, what is going on here? Like, I was an actor president of the United States, and now we get to where, like, how is a bankrupt, shitty businessman in charge of the United States?
I'm not going to say anything on this because of the pure and simple reason we're going to have an hour. We'd have another hour added on to my opinion about Donald Trump. So I kind of guess that's kind of like a red word for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
we should probably leave that and just inject our veins with bleach instead.
Yes, that's a good idea. No. No,
no, don't do
no,
that.
don't do that. That's
disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Do not do that. Just because Donald Trump said that, and apparently he was joking. Why would you go on social media and say something like that? Ronald Reagan versus Donald Trump.
Still like massively conservative, but better than Donald Trump probably.
You know when
because he gave us all his action films inadvertently.
And he liked Back to the Future.
Yeah, because they name drop him.
Yeah, and he name dropped Star Wars, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
But I got to say, the shadow was completely off track. Space Force, Netflix.
Do you know the whole Star Wars thing in the 80s with the space platform?
Yeah.
Do you know the reason they couldn't call it Star Wars?
Because it was already copyrighted.
George Lucas literally sued them.
Ooh.
Like suing the US government for a weapons defense platform because you're going, no, I own those two words in that combination.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if I'm right, didn't the people who made Space Force, they found out that they weren't copyrighted the words of so Space Force is actually copyrighted by a TV company.
Just
oopsie.
Yep, sorry Donald.
Yeah.
So it's not your version of Starfleet is not going to work.
Nope. So I think we can both agree that just by default, even though that Rocky 5 is the better one.
Yeah, I like I said at the start, I feel like they're really similar in like being at the ends of what franchises they are. You know, like people were kind of like, these two are done now.
Yeah.
For a while, you know, and then he sort of came back. He said himself, didn't he, that he always wanted to do a conclusion to both series that was decent, and he did. He did Rambo 4. He did Rocky Balboa. So I think they came out they got a year apart, 2006 and then 7. I'm sure. I remember we went to see them, didn't we?
2006
for Rocky. Yeah. I'm sure
Rambo's 2008.
Oh, 2008. Yeah.
So
a
it's
couple
still,
of years. Yeah. So he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus. Yeah. They got the good goodbyes.
So he did. Yeah. He did sort of redeem it in the end.
And he did Expendables as well.
And he did Expendables. Yeah.
So. I think we can wind this up and say that's Rambo 3 versus Rocky 5 on Franchise Wars on the High Ground podcast.
Indeed.
I'm Stevie W.
And Callum.
See you soon.
Bye.